Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports.
Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports with Tyler Drake and Lauren Koval.
Bird Gang, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of Cardinals Corner. Week 2 is officially over, and the Cardinals are victorious, taking down the Los Angeles Rams 41-10. And yes, I'm Tyler Drake, but joining me today is Kevin Zimmerman in place of Lauren Koval, who is under the weather. So get better, Lauren. Got to be accountable. Got to be back next week.
Get better, Lauren. And for anyone watching on the YouTube, that's why I'm dressed with like an unprofessional situation.
You were pinch hitting today.
Yeah, and you were out at the game, so
yes.
We're at different places, but here we are.
But we're back,
recording.
And we're here to talk about the Rams and the Cardinals. And the Cardinals getting a W at home against a Los Angeles team that you really couldn't say that previously. So, Kevin, let's just get right into it. What are some of the what's your biggest takeaway from today's game?
I think for me, the biggest takeaway is, okay, look, the Rams were hurt. We could have predicted their offensive line would do terribly, which they did. We could have seen that if you lose their top 2 receivers, they would have struggles on top of that. But I think when you take kind of how the Cardinals played against the Bills, competitive, against a team that on Thursday did really well against the Miami Dolphins, and you consider what the Cardinals did against a team struggling that we thought would struggle and really laying it in on them and really just pulling away and pulling away early, then you combine these things and you say the Cardinals are functioning like a good football team. That seems like a little, I don't know. Is that a shot on what our expectations should be? I don't know. But look, that's what a good team does. When opponents down, you put them in the dirt. They did that, and I think that kind of completely resets the expectations to at least, they're not going to meet them. Let's panic about the Bills game.
Yeah, and I think you said that right too. With the Bills especially, I thought what we saw in the second half was just, it was ugly. Like, plain and simple. Marvin Harrison wasn't getting the ball. He didn't get the ball the whole game, really. 3 targets. He only had 1 catch, 4 yards. And I think all of us were kind of like, oh, this is a trend that we're going to be seeing moving forward. And then you see what the Bills did to the Dolphins. And, oh, my gosh. Like, okay, Bills are legit. Cardinals, yes, a loss doesn't count. Does not help your win total, but it's something you can build off of. And I think they went into today and really showed that they did build off of it. I think the big 3 things that were missing, more Marv, more down the field shots, more pressure on the quarterback. All of those 3 things were exceptional today. I mean, it wasn't just like, yeah, we hit on one of the 3. Every single one of those big factors, key factors, the 3 things I said they wanted to be successful this week, they had to change. They did. And it was just like first play of the game. Of course they went to Marvin. Quickly, down the field. You get James Conner the rock, let him do what he's supposed to be doing. I mean, top to bottom, complete win. Kyler Murray said it post-game. And I think also giving a shout out to the defense, because I think we all saw that this offense could be this offense. I don't think we're all sitting there like, wow, we didn't expect this to be the offense. I think we all kind of saw this. Like, there's some legit playmakers on this team, but the defense coming in, regardless of how the line looked for the Rams, they still had to go up and show up. And Dennis Gardeck getting 3 sacks, playing a little extra, I think, for junk. Marcus Golden was in attendance. That right there was one of the biggest things that I took away, is just the fact that, hey, they still had Kyren Williams. They still had Cooper Kupp for a little bit. He left the game, but they still had their playmakers outside of Puka. Like, they still could have easily gone at these guys, but the defense stepped up and got a ton of pressure on Stafford. Yeah,
I think we could look at week 1 and say, okay, Kyler actually played pretty well. Second half didn't go his way. Marv, you expect to show up. To me, and I'll throw it back to you in a sec about which line played better, but to me, just like in the trenches, look, the Cardinals did not do well against the run, against Cook, against the Bills. Kyren Williams is still Kyren Williams. He killed him last year.
Yep.
And you would expect, like, maybe, they're gonna load the box and stuff like that in this game, just because the passing game might not be there. 2.7 yards per carry for the Rams today. That's really good for the Cardinals defensive front, along with the pass rush that showed up against, again, a really struggling offensive line.
Yeah.
Now on the other end, like, James Conner didn't look good against the Bills, and their game plan that kind of succeeded early on and then it faded. It was there all day today against the Rams. So going back to you, are you more impressed offensive line or defensive line for the Cardinals?
I think, honestly, I think I'm going to have to go defensive line just because I think Kyron Williams, that was one of the big keys today is the dude had like 301 yards between 2 games against Cardinals. Just went to town. There was no stopping the guy. And early on, I thought the first couple carries he had, it was like, oh no, we're getting right back into these giant chunk yards. Like just every carry he's getting chunk yards. And they only stopped him 12 carries, 25 yards and the touchdown. Like, that is one heck of a win for the defensive line, and it was interesting too because Dante Stills was a surprise inactive today, which is, we'll talk to JG more about that tomorrow, but very interesting there just because of the rotation. They love to rotate guys in, so it looked like LJ Collier was getting some more work in there, so very interested to see what is going on with Dante, but I would have to say defensive line. I thought offensive line, you give Kelvin Beachum another week to really get into practice, really understand he's going to be the starter. I thought some things you could work on there, but still much better than last week. I think the Bills have a better pass rush than the Rams too. I think we have to take that into account too. But I think all in all, defensive line really came to play today.
I guess we have to talk about Marv. Probably.
We have to talk
kind of
about
buried
Marv.
The lead a little bit, but that's fine.
All right, Marvin Harrison Jr. definitely fit the billing for his first round price tag. 4 catches, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, first 2 touchdowns of his career. The first one was just nasty. That is why he's number 4 overall. Like, I think he had 0.7 yards of separation, was 0.7 yards from the out of bounds. Is it like on top of a dude? I don't even know what the 0.7 would be because there was someone on top of him. That's wild. Yeah. That's wild. Ball placement was really awesome by Kyler. Yeah. Back at the end zone, you're running out of space. He put it where nobody else could get that ball. Yeah, and that's one thing, like, I'll go on an aside here about, like, receivers. That must be really tough. I've never played receiver beyond a flag football game, probably in, like, junior high. Like, I saw a Devontae Adams catch where he, like, reset his feet and had to stick as he's falling out of bounds to get 2 feet in. Marv kind of did that in the back of the end zone. Also, when you're going full speed, just like to have the awareness, kind of have spatial awareness of where you are on the field. And obviously making the catch with the guy 0.7 and whatever yards on top of you. I think Next Gen Stats said it was like the most improbable touchdown of the year so far. Or was it in touchdown or was it catch at all? I don't even know. I might be touchdown
wrong.
Catch.
Touchdown catch, okay. Of like improbability, yeah. Yeah, I think it's 13% or something like that. So just wild. But then a second one, I thought he showed great awareness of playing with what Kyler's going to give you. Kyler started scrambling. He recognized the defense and said, all right, I'm going here and I'm going down. I'm going deep. And they found him. I think it was a 60-yard touchdown. Everything that we were missing last week, everything the team was missing last week, came to fruition this week with Marvin. Yeah. Obviously, I think there could be more than 8 targets in a game for him. I think Kyler definitely spaced it out well. But then again, you mentioned this before we even started the pod, the other wide receivers on the team really didn't do much. The Michael Wilsons of the world and the Greg Dortches, each of them had 2 catches, but outside of that, the wide receivers room was pretty quiet. Yeah. What's interesting about this as it develops is especially that third deep catch for Marvin when the Cardinals are kind of backed up. Like, that's a thing they have to develop too, is Kyler scrambles so much, obviously. Like, learn where to go, learn how to communicate in those scramble situations, and he obviously got them out of a terrible situation. Mm-hmm. Was that the 99-yard drive? Yeah, and he had 33-yard. Yeah, I think it was a 33-yard catch. Yeah, and they score a touchdown on the Higgins touchdown catch after that. So that sets up a touchdown. But just like that chemistry being there when you're so worried after week 1, is it there or not? Everything just like, at least we're past the, oh no, is he bad? Does Kyler not pay attention? Like, we're past the silly narrative stuff. Well, even Kyler says, like, all y'all made a big deal out of it. Like, we knew it was just a game. Like, and I guess I'll say they didn't connect after the first 13 minutes, first quarter, whatever it ended up being. So there's still more improvement, and that was an awesome Marv quote. Like, I didn't like being the 4 incompletions. Yeah, and that was the thing I was going to say is, like, for as much as this guy's got 2 game balls he's taking home, going to take him to his mom. I believe that's what he told Paul Calvisi on the post-game show. Great there. What about his dad? He's got 2 of them. But yeah, that's the big thing, man, is just his ability to
not get too low like last week, not get too high like this week. I mean, he said it. He almost seemed more focused and more disappointed in the 4 incompletions that Kyler had because they went his way more than the 2 touchdowns and the coming out party at home. Like that alone, I think, shows you the work ethic and kind of determination and accountability. This dude just, like, he doesn't want that to happen moving forward. So it's just, that was very impressive to see that kind of come out of a young guy like that. I mean, dude just quieted so many people from last week and was like, yeah, we need to fix the things we did bad at.
Yeah.
So, okay, moving into next week, what's outside of Marvin, what's one thing you want to see improved?
Man.
And it's hard because it was a great game.
I do want to see more receivers and kind of just the creativity there. Marv was moving around a little bit today, even putting him in motion, came out of the slot. Stuff like that. It feels like this team, both games, hasn't really tapped into the playbook a ton. It's like they're just trying to get their feet wet almost. And I know Paul Calvisi has been hitting on just like, hey, they didn't really play heavily in the preseason with the starters. So I don't know if that's it, if they don't want to give too much of the playbook away. I just want to see them start stacking like hey, we're throwing this play on tape. Pay attention. Oh, we're going to get you next game. That stuff's super fascinating to me because, again, when you get back into the receivers and how to use Marv, how creative do they get with the weapons that they do have, whether that's, I think that was the first play Trey Benson was with James Conner and like kind of moved out in motion. So there's a little stuff being sprinkled in, but I just don't feel like they've gone beyond their, what do you call it, bread and butter stuff now?
Yeah, their traditional stuff, For me, I think it's going to come down to, obviously, the pass rush was solid today. Not knocking it. Dennis was solid. Zaven Collins was solid. Yeah. I want to see the guys behind them, though, do something more. I need to see more from Xavier Thomas, who, coming into the season, looked like he was going to be a big factor for this team as a rookie. Victor Dimukeji, just seeing kind of the back end of the pass rush kind of fill in when they have to step up and step in and be these rotational pieces. Like, it can't just be on Gardeck and Collins. This is not how the defense is ran. They've got to rotate guys in, keep them healthy, keep them fresh. So seeing a little bit more of a push from those guys is kind of what I'm going to be looking at moving into week 3 against the very tough, actually, they just came off a loss, didn't they, the Lions? They just lost to Tampa Bay.
My brain's swimming. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, holy cow. They just got beat by Baker. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting for sure next week. Obviously, Cardinals, Gannon doesn't like momentum, so we won't talk about momentum. But they are rolling into week 3 with a lot of steam.
Yeah, shout out to Budda Baker. He kind of showed up today and it was all over when we were kind of like, we didn't really see him flash on the film in the first game.
8 tackles today, led the team.
Yeah. By the way, poor Warren McClendon. Guy started at right tackle. I looked up his PFF stats because it was like he's starting at left this week. He had 2 penalties and I think 2 sacks and like 4 quarterback hits, if I'm remembering last week. So he was the guy who was just getting beat by Gardeck and Zaven one-on-one for like most of the sacks today. He might get cut.
He goes from starter to just cut. It's not good,
yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we will turn it back to you guys as we get ready for week 3 as the Cardinals move to 1-1 on the season. They'll head into week 3 where they take on the Detroit Lions at home. So be sure to keep it locked on the Arizona Sports app, 98.7 and ArizonaSports.com. Follow me on all the social medias at TDrake for Sports. You can follow Kevin at KZimmermanAZ.
Yeah.
Boom. Follow the show at AZ Cards Corner. Go follow Lauren too at Colville_Lauren and give her some grief for not showing up tonight, even though she's sick. Get better, Lauren. I'm just kidding. But with that, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.